I was told to repopulate with one alien sister, but I broke the rules. The galaxy had not known peace for 100 years. Worlds had burned, empires had fallen, and species that once ruled the stars were now nothing more than memories written in dust, but on one small human colony that far away from the main, galactic roots, a man named Ethan, Cole woke up to a message that would change everything. He rubbed his eyes as the hologram flickered to life above his table. It was stamped with the seal of the Galactic Restoration Council, the group trying to rebuild civilization after the Great Collapse. Citizen Ethan Cole, the voice said coldly. You have been selected for the Repopulation Initiative. You will travel to planet Virelia 9. Upon arrival, you will choose one genetic partner from the surviving Virelian lineage to aid in human-alien restoration. This is your duty, Ethan blinked. Repopulation Initiative. Genetic partner? What is this, some kind of joke? But it wasn't. Within an hour, his transport ship was on standby. He was given no real choice. Earth's survival depended on this mission. Humanity had lost nearly 90% of its numbers after the solar wars. The future now rested on those willing to rebuild, no matter how strange the method. Planet Virelia 9 looked like paradise from orbit, a glowing blue world wrapped in silver clouds and green oceans. Yet when Ethan landed, it felt empty, too quiet. A robotic escort guided him through crystal corridors carved into the planet's surface. This way, Subject 29, the bot said. Ethan followed, uneasy. You can call me Ethan, you know. The bot didn't respond. Then the doors opened. Inside stood two women. Not human, but not fully alien either. Their skin shimmered faintly like moonlight. Their eyes glowed in different hues, one violet, one gold. They looked almost identical, except for the way they carried themselves. The violet-eyed one stood calm and graceful, her voice soft when she spoke. I am Lyra. I have studied human culture, art, and peace. The golden-eyed one smiled with quiet confidence. And I am Vexa. I have studied human war, strength, and survival. Ethan looked between them, confused. Wait, both of you? Lyra nodded gently. We are twin heirs of the Virelian line. The council decided you must choose one of us to continue the hybrid generation. Vexa stepped forward, smirking. Only one can stand beside you, human. Choose wisely. The air in the room tightened. Ethan felt like a pawn in someone's strange experiment. Later, in his quarters, Ethan stared out the window at the alien horizon. He could still hear their voices, Lyra's calm, Vexa's bold. He didn't know which one to choose. Lyra had spoken of peace, of unity, rebuilding, and understanding between species. Vexa had spoken of power, of defending humanity's name in a galaxy that had forgotten it, but both shared the same sorrow in their eyes. Their world too had fallen. Their people were dying. And just like humanity, they wanted a second chance. Suddenly, Ethan realized something. This wasn't just about biology or repopulation. It was about control. About who would shape the new era, the gentle or the strong. He looked at the holographic note the council had given him. It read, "You may only choose one." He whispered to himself, "And what if I don't?" That night, as he walked through the crystal corridors, he overheard two scientists talking. Do you think he'll follow orders? He has to. The hybrid program can't sustain two Virelians. One must be terminated after selection. Ethan froze. Terminated? His blood turned cold. They weren't asking him to choose a partner. They were asking him to condemn the other to death. He stared out into the alien night, his fists clenched. The stars burned like silent witnesses. They told me to choose one, he whispered, his voice low but firm. But I won't let either of them die. He turned away from the window. His eyes filled with new resolve, because in that moment, Ethan Cole, a simple human from a broken Earth, decided to defy the entire galaxy. And that's when his real story began. Ethan didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lyra's calm smile and Vexa's fierce gaze, and the cold words echoing in his mind, "One must be terminated after selection." He couldn't let that happen. Not after seeing the quiet pain in their eyes. Not after realizing they weren't just part of an experiment. They were people. At dawn, he walked through the glowing corridors of the Virelian base. The walls shimmered with light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Every few steps, hidden cameras followed him. He kept his head down, pretending to follow protocol, but his mind was racing. He needed a plan, a way to save both sisters and escape before the council realized what he was doing. He entered the genetics lab, where a technician drone floated near the glass tanks. Inside them, strange blue liquid rippled around suspended DNA strands, half human, half alien. The beginnings of a new race. Ethan's jaw tightened. They think life is a formula. As he pretended to study the data, Lyra entered quietly. She wore a flowing silver robe, her violet eyes calm as the dawn. "You look troubled," she said softly. "You were awake all night," he nodded. "I heard what the council plans to do after I choose." She lowered her gaze, silent for a moment. "Yes, it is the way of survival. They say two lines cannot coexist without chaos." "That's what they said before every war," Ethan replied. Lyra looked up, surprised by the edge in his voice. "You wish to defy them?" He met her eyes. "If defying them means saving both of you." "Yes." Before Lyra could speak again, the door hissed open. Vexa stormed in, her golden eyes flashing. "So it's true. You know about the termination protocol?" Ethan stepped forward. "I'm not going to let them kill either of you." Vexa crossed her arms, studying him. "You're bold for a human. But you're on their base. They control every system here. What's your plan? Fight them all?" "Maybe," Ethan said. "Or maybe we outsmart them." Lyra turned toward him, her voice uncertain. "The council monitors every room, every breath we take. Even speaking against them is treason." "Then we won't speak," Ethan said, his voice low. "We'll act." That night, under the silver glow of Virelia's twin moons, Ethan met both sisters in the old observatory, an ancient dome half buried in dust. The air smelled of metal and forgotten stars. He showed them a stolen hollow map of the base. "This," he whispered, "is the escape route. The council ship leaves in 48 hours. I'll be on it, but not alone." Vexa grinned. "You're planning to steal a council ship. I might start liking you, human." Lyra frowned slightly. "If they catch us, they'll execute all three." Ethan looked at her. "Then we make sure they don't catch us." The plan was simple but dangerous. Ethan would use his clearance to access the genetic core, the heart of the experiment. From there, he could erase the order that bound the sisters' lives to his decision. Once free, the three of them would hijack a shuttle and escape into the outer rim. But first, they needed to fake the choice. The next morning, as the council's holograms appeared before him, Ethan stood between Lyra and Vexa. "Have you made your decision?" the lead hologram asked, voice cold and echoing. Ethan nodded. "Yes, I choose." He paused just long enough to make every scientist lean forward. "I choose Lyra." Lyra's eyes widened. Vexa's jaw tightened, anger flashing in her golden stare. The council nodded, satisfied. "Very well. The other subject will be scheduled for disposal." But as they cut the transmission, Ethan whispered under his breath, "Not if I get there first." That night, alarms blared through the base. Security drones fell from the sky, systems glitched, and the laboratories locked down. From the chaos, three shadows ran through the corridors, one human, two alien. Lyra's calm eyes glowed with fear and hope. Vexa covered their escape with stolen plasma rifles, shouting, "Go! I'll hold them." Ethan turned back for her. "No, we leave together." And as explosions lit the night sky, the impossible alliance of man and twin alien sisters began their fight for freedom. The alarms echoed through the crystal halls like thunder made of light. Ethan's heart pounded as red sirens painted the walls in flashes of danger. Every step he took echoed the choice he had made, the choice to disobey the galaxy itself. Behind him, Lyra ran silently, her silver robe torn and glowing with energy sparks. Ahead, Vexa blasted open a security door, her golden eyes burning with fierce determination. "Move, human," she shouted, smoke curling around her face. "They've sealed the eastern hangar." Ethan grinned despite the chaos. "Then we make a new exit." He slammed his hand against a control panel. The system resisted, locked under council code. But Ethan wasn't just a soldier. He had once been an engineer. His fingers flew over the holographic keys. Sparks jumped. Circuits screamed, then click. The door slid open with a hiss. "Go!" he shouted. They burst through into the hangar, a massive silver cavern filled with silent ships, each marked with the council's insignia. Drones buzzed overhead, scanning for intruders. Lyra whispered, There, that shuttle. It's unarmed but fast, Vexa snorted. Unarmed won't help us when they start shooting. Then we don't get hit, Ethan said simply. They sprinted across the hangar floor. Drones spotted them instantly. Red beams sliced the air. Ethan dove behind a crate, firing a stolen plasma pistol. Lyra raised her hand, summoning a shimmering energy field that bent the lasers around them. Human technology is brutal, she whispered. But your courage, it burns bright. Save the poetry, Vexa yelled, firing back at the drones. More coming from the west. Ethan grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the shuttle. The three of them dashed inside just as an explosion ripped through the hangar wall. Strap in, he shouted, jumping into the pilot's seat. I thought you were an engineer, Vexa said, gripping the console. I learned fast. The engines roared. The ship lifted, trembling. The hangar roof cracked open, revealing the cold stars beyond. Drones swarmed after them like metal hornets. Ethan gritted his teeth. Hold tight. He slammed the thrusters to maximum. The shuttle shot into the sky, leaving a trail of blue flame behind. They broke through the atmosphere into the endless dark. Virelia shrank below them, a glowing jewel surrounded by fire. Lyra exhaled shakily. We're free, but Vexa frowned, checking the radar. Not yet. They've launched pursuit ships. Ethan looked at the display of 6 red blips closing fast. He pulled a lever. Then we make them regret following us. The shuttle twisted, engines howling. Ethan spun between asteroid fragments, ducking laser fire. Each shot lit the cockpit in bursts of deadly light. Lyra clutched her seat. You're going to kill us. Not if I do it right, Ethan said, smirking. A drone sliced past their window, firing wildly. Vexa leaned over and shot it through the glass. The explosion rocked the ship, but Ethan kept control. He dove into a glowing storm of plasma clouds, the Virelian Nebula. The sensors screamed. Energy fields flickered like lightning. Lyra's voice trembled. The nebula will destroy our navigation systems. Good, Ethan said. Then they'll lose us too. Inside the nebula, light became liquid. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring. Ethan fought the controls as if wrestling a wild animal. Suddenly silence. The radar went dark. They were blind but safe. Vexa exhaled, finally lowering her weapon. You're insane, human. Maybe, Ethan said, smiling faintly. But we're alive. Lyra looked out the viewport. The swirling colors reflected in her eyes, blue, pink, and gold. You risked everything for us. Why? Ethan paused. He looked at both sisters. Because the council forgot something simple. What? Vexa asked. He leaned back in his seat, eyes tired but determined. They think life is built in labs, but it's not. It's built in choices, and I made mine. A moment of silence filled the ship. Then a soft beep came from the console. Lyra turned toward it. What's that sound? Ethan checked the data feed. His heart froze. A hidden signal, encrypted powerful, had locked onto them. It's the council, he said. They're tracking us through my DNA tag. Vexa slammed her fist against the dashboard. You brought their eyes with us. Ethan cursed under his breath. Then we'll give them something to see. He entered a series of commands. A small pod detached from the ship, carrying his old ID signal, and blasted away in the opposite direction. Lyra looked at him, surprised. You're erasing yourself, Ethan nodded. From this moment on, Ethan Cole no longer exists. The sisters looked at him silently, and for the first time both smiled the same way. Outside, the stars burned bright and endless. And somewhere in the galaxy, the council realized too late, the human had chosen both. The nebula faded behind them like a dream dissolving into starlight. For the first time in days, silence filled the ship. Not the silence of fear, but of exhaustion. Ethan slumped back in the pilot's seat, his hands trembling slightly. The sisters sat opposite him, bathed in the soft glow of the control lights. They had escaped the council. But escape was only the beginning. Fuel cells are nearly empty, Lyra said softly, her voice calm as always. And life support is running at 30%. Vexa crossed her arms. We can't keep drifting. We need a world. Somewhere they won't find us. Ethan scanned the navigation feed. Most systems were either restricted, colonized, or radioactive wastelands. Then deep in the outer sectors he found it, a nameless planet marked as Class D abandoned. No records. No traffic. No signal, he murmured. Perfect. Lyra tilted her head. Or dangerous, he smiled faintly. At this point, I'll take both. Hours later, the shuttle pierced the dark clouds of the forgotten planet. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating ruins that stretched like bones of giants. The surface shimmered with strange energy. Rivers of silver light flowed through black rock, feeding enormous towers half swallowed by the earth. Vexa stared out the viewport. What is this place? Lyra whispered almost reverently. This is Elindra. Ethan frowned. You know it. Lyra nodded slowly. The Varelian archive spoke of it, the first world where both our species once met. Before the wars, before the council, Ethan asked. She nodded again. Before control replaced unity, they landed on the remains of an ancient platform. The ship's engines hissed to silence, and the heavy air of Elindra pressed around them. Ethan stepped out first. The ground pulsed faintly beneath his boots, alive. Somehow the ruins whispered with echoes of the past, voices, laughter. Fragments of life turned to dust. Lyra walked beside him, tracing her hand across a fallen pillar covered in symbols. This place remembers, she said softly. It remembers everything. Vexa scanned the area with her weapon drawn. Then it remembers how to stay hidden, too. Let's keep it that way. Ethan turned, taking in the strange harmony of decay and beauty. If the council finds out this place still exists, they won't, Vexa interrupted. Not if we destroy every signal trace, Ethan nodded. Then let's make this our base. A home, at least for now. Days passed. They repaired the shuttle using parts scavenged from the ruins. Lyra discovered that Elindra's energy fields could power their systems. The planet itself was alive, feeding on the memories of the past. At night, they gathered near the campfire that flickered under a violet sky. Vexa cleaned her plasma rifle while watching Ethan with cautious curiosity. You could have chosen the easy way, you know, she said one night. Pick one of us, follow orders, live like a hero. Ethan looked at her, his face lit by the firelight. Heroes obey. I don't, Lyra smiled faintly. Then what are you? He poked at the flames. Just a man who got tired of other people deciding who deserves to live. For a moment, even Vexa didn't argue. Later, while exploring deeper into the ruins, Ethan found something, a massive crystal core buried beneath the ground. It pulsed with blue light, ancient and powerful. As he approached, the crystal flickered, projecting a faint hologram. It was a symbol he recognized, the Council's insignia. His stomach dropped. No, it can't be. Lyra and Vexa appeared behind him. What is it? Vexa asked. Ethan pointed at the projection. This isn't just an old ruin. This planet was the origin of the repopulation program. The Council didn't create it. They found it. Lyra's eyes widened. You mean all of this was planned long before us? Ethan nodded slowly. Someone started this project centuries ago, maybe even before humanity's fall. The crystal pulsed faster as if hearing them. Then a cold metallic voice filled the chamber. Welcome, hybrid candidates. Phase 2 will now begin. A blinding light filled the room. The ground trembled. Energy surged through the ruins, awakening something that had slept for centuries. Vexa raised her weapon. What the hell is happening? Ethan shielded his eyes. We triggered something. A system waiting for us. Lyra's voice shook for the first time. Not a system. They mind. The light formed a humanoid figure, neither human nor alien, but both. Its voice echoed through the chamber. You have done what no one before you dared. You chose both. The true test begins now. The light filled the ancient chamber like a storm of stars. Ethan shielded his eyes, feeling the ground vibrate beneath his feet. Lyra and Vexa stood frozen beside him, their faces lit by the ghostly glow of the holographic figure. It was neither human nor alien. Its body shimmered like liquid metal, and its voice echoed with layers of memory. You have done what no one before you dared. You chose both. The figure's gaze, or what felt like a gaze, fell upon Ethan. You have disrupted the cycle. Ethan frowned, stepping forward. Cycle? What are you talking about? Who are you? The being tilted its head, as though remembering how to answer. I am Elindra Prime, the first consciousness of this world. I was built to observe, to record, and to restart life when it fails. Lyra's eyes widened. A planetary intelligence? Vexa raised her rifle. Whatever it is, it's watching us too closely. Elindra Prime's tone softened, almost amused. Fear not, warrior. Your weapon is meaningless here. I exist in every particle of this planet. You are inside me. The walls pulsed with light. For a brief second, Ethan felt as if the air itself was breathing. Ethan took a steady breath. If you're some kind of ancient machine, then tell me, what does the Council have to do with you? The figure paused. Long ago, humans and Varelians came here together. They sought balance, the merging of strength and compassion, logic and emotion. I was created to guide that unity, Lyra whispered. The first alliance. Yes, Elindra Prime continued. But fear destroyed them. Each side wanted control. The project was buried and I was put to sleep. The Council found fragments of my code and built their own version, their repopulation program. They twisted creation into command. Ethan clenched his fists. So this was never about saving life. It was about owning it. Correct, the being said simply. But you, human, have changed the equation. Lyra looked at Ethan, confused. How? By choosing both sisters, you broke the binary. The code designed to divide. The ground trembled. The crystal core brightened. The fusion of peace and power can restore the lost balance. But it comes with a price. Ethan's voice hardened. What kind of price? One must ascend. The others must remain. A deep silence filled the room. Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. Ascend? A merging of consciousness, Elindra Prime said. One of you must join with me, become part of the planetary mind, and to unlock the next stage of evolution. Vexa scowled. That's not evolution. That's death. Not death, Elindra corrected. Transformation. Lyra turned to Ethan, fear and calm mixing in her eyes. It's asking for a sacrifice. Ethan shook his head. No, we're not doing this. We didn't come here to play God. But the walls around them began to shift. The ancient machinery came alive. Streams of light rose from the floor, wrapping around the sisters like threads of energy. Vexa tried to pull free. Ethan! Ethan grabbed her arm, fighting against the current. Let them go. Elindra's voice deepened, vibrating through the chamber. The choice must be made again. One to remain flesh, one to transcend. The balance demands it. Lyra looked at Vexa, then at Ethan. No, Ethan said firmly. I won't choose. Not again. The being's light flared. Then the world will choose for you. The ground cracked open beneath them. Energy surged upward, forming an enormous column of light that split the sky. Ethan was thrown backward, slamming into the wall. When he looked up, Lyra was standing inside the light, her body slowly dissolving into golden mist. Lyra, he shouted, reaching for her. Her voice was calm, peaceful. You said life is built on choices, Ethan. Then let mine mean something. Vexa screamed, trying to reach her sister, but the energy barrier threw her back. Lyra smiled faintly through the light. Protect him, Vexa, that's your strength. My part is to heal what was broken. Then silence. The light collapsed. When it faded, Lyra was gone. Only a faint hum remained, echoing in the crystal walls. Ethan fell to his knees. No, she... But then the chamber spoke again. Integration complete. The balance has begun. Vexa looked at the glowing core. Her voice trembled. Ethan! She's still here. The core pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Do not mourn. The test is not over. Ethan looked up, fire in his eyes. Then I'll finish it. For her. The ground still glowed where Lyra had vanished. The air hummed with a strange pulse, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat echoing through stone. Ethan and Vexa stood in silence, their faces lit by the trembling blue light of the crystal core. She's gone, Ethan whispered. Vexa clenched her fists. No, she became that thing. She's part of it now. A low vibration rolled through the chamber. I am not gone, a voice said. Gentle, distant, and unmistakably Lyra's. Ethan froze. Lyra? The light around them flickered, and for an instant her figure appeared, made of energy, her eyes glowing with a soft golden hue. Elindra and I are one now. I see everything, the networks, the skies, the ships. The Council. They are coming. Vexa's jaw tightened. Let them come. Lyra's image looked at her sister. They bring an entire fleet, Vexa. Warships from every surviving colony. They intend to destroy this world, and us with it. Ethan stepped forward. Then we stopped them. You said Elindra was connected to everything. Can you control the defenses? I can try, but this world was built for harmony, not war. Vexa smirked. Then we'll teach it how to fight. Hours later, the horizon burned with streaks of light. Dozens of Council warships descended from orbit, sleek, black, and deadly, their engines like thunder. Ethan and Vexa stood on the surface near the ruined towers, preparing for what felt like the end. The sky crackled with electric storms as Elindra's energy pulsed through the ground beneath their feet. From the comlink, Lyra's voice echoed faintly in the wind. I can divert some of Elindra's power to the atmosphere. It might shield you from the first wave. Ethan looked up. Do it. And make it count. Vexa adjusted her rifle, eyes blazing. I'll handle whatever makes it through. He gave her a look. You sound almost human when you talk like that, she smirked. Don't insult me. The first strike hit, a rain of plasma fire that tore through the clouds. But instead of destruction, the energy bent mid-air, deflected by invisible currents of light. A glowing shield, alive, shimmering, beautiful, rose above them. Lyra's voice whispered through the storm. They will not harm this world. Ethan felt his chest tighten. She's doing it. But the Council wasn't done. One of the massive ships broke formation, descending low. A familiar voice crackled through the comms, cold, authoritative. Subject 29, Ethan Cole. You were given a simple order. You have violated interspecies law and corrupted the genetic program. Surrender now, or we will sterilize the entire sector. Ethan gritted his teeth. You people never learn, do you? You can't sterilize what's already evolving. Vexa aimed her weapon at the sky. Talk less. Fight more. Elindra's towers came alive. Channels of blue energy surged upward, striking the Council fleet like lightning. Ships burst into flame, spinning out of control. But for every one that fell, two more replaced it. The sky became a battlefield of light and death. Inside the chaos, Ethan's communicator buzzed. Ethan, Lyra said urgently, their flagship carries the control core, the one that can shut me down. You must destroy it or I'll lose the connection to this planet. Where is it? He asked. High orbit. I can open a path, but you'll have only one chance. Vexa loaded her rifle and stepped closer. Then we do this together. Ethan nodded. Always. Moments later, their shuttle, patched, scorched, but still flying, tore through the stormy sky. Elindra's power flowed through the engines, guided by Lyra's will. Inside the cockpit, the screens flickered with her glowing image. I will clear a path for you. Trust me. Ethan smiled faintly. Always did. As they broke through the clouds, the Council flagship appeared, a colossal fortress floating in orbit, surrounded by ships like steel wolves. Vexa's eyes narrowed. You fly. I'll destroy their core. Ethan gripped the controls. Let's remind them what humans and Varelians can do when they stop playing by the rules. The shuttle dove through enemy fire, weaving between lasers. Ethan's hands moved like instinct. Lyra whispered through every movement, predicting enemy patterns, bending energy currents to guide them. Then, an opening. Now! Lyra shouted. Vexa leapt from the shuttle's hatch, launching herself through the void in a burst of blue thruster fire. She crashed onto the flagship's hull, plasma rifle blazing. Ethan circled above, covering her, shouting into the comms, Vexa, you've got 60 seconds. Explosions tore through the ship's spine. Vexa's voice came through, fierce and proud. Tell your precious council, the experiment is over. Then a final blast. The flagship erupted in white fire. The fleet faltered. The remaining ships turned and fled into the dark. Ethan floated in silence, the planet glowing below. His communicator crackled. Ethan, Vexa, the balance has shifted. You've done it. Lyra's voice, and soft, peaceful, filled the cockpit. He whispered, We're still here. For now. But something new is awakening. The galaxy is watching. Ethan looked at the stars, then let them watch. We're just getting started. The war was over. But victory, Ethan soon realized, was never meant to feel this quiet. The Council's fleet had retreated into the black, leaving burning trails of light behind them. The sky above Elindra was clear again, clear but changed. The stars shimmered with strange energy, as if the entire galaxy was holding its breath. Ethan stood on a broken cliff overlooking the ruins. The wind whispered across the alien landscape, carrying faint echoes of battle and memory. His ship rested in the distance, half buried in glowing dust. Lyra's soft voice echoed in his mind. The storm has passed, Ethan. The balance is restored, and for now. He closed his eyes, listening. You sound different. I am different, she said gently. I see the universe as it truly is. Every world, every thought, every heartbeat. I feel the lives still struggling in darkness. Her tone grew quiet, almost human again. But I also feel you. Behind him, footsteps approached. Vexa stood with her usual strength, though her armor was scorched and cracked. The gold in her eyes glowed dimly in the fading light. So, she said, folding her arms, the all-powerful machine god has feelings now? Ethan chuckled. Careful. She might be listening. I am, Lyra's voice teased softly in their heads. Vexa rolled her eyes. Great. Now we have a ghost in our minds. But Ethan saw the truth. Beneath Vexa's sarcasm there was something else. Grief, loss, maybe even love. He turned to her. You miss her? Vexa didn't answer. She looked up at the glowing sky instead. She was the calm to my fire. I never thought I'd lose that. Ethan nodded. You didn't lose her. You just can't touch her anymore. He's right, Lyra said. And I'm not gone. Part of me exists in both of you now. My memories, my strength. That was the real purpose of Elindra's system. Vexa frowned. Purpose? To merge life through connection, not control, Lyra explained. The council misunderstood. They wanted to breed obedience, but Elindra was meant to awaken unity. Ethan looked out toward the horizon. So what now? We saved one planet, but the galaxy's still broken. Then we heal it, Lyra replied. Together. Over the next few weeks, the trio, human, warrior, and digital goddess, began something new. Ethan used his engineering knowledge to rebuild the fallen towers, turning them into beacons. Vexa coordinated power grids from Elindra's energy veins, forging defenses strong enough to repel another attack. And Lyra. She reached beyond. Her consciousness flowed through the network of forgotten satellites, dormant probes, and ancient archives scattered through space. She whispered to surviving colonies, abandoned stations, lost ships drifting in the void, awakening hope where only silence had remained. Each night, Ethan and Vexa would sit beside the campfire under Elindra's endless sky. Sometimes Lyra spoke through the flames, her voice blending with the crackle of light. Do you see it? She asked one night. A new constellation, forming near the Virelian belt. Ethan squinted up. The stars indeed looked different, aligned in a pattern that resembled two wings unfolding. It's beautiful, he said softly. It's the signal of life returning, Lyra said. Other survivors are responding. They're coming here. Vexa leaned back against a rock. So now we're a sanctuary. Great, guess I'll have to play guard dog. Ethan smiled faintly. Not guard dog. Protector. She looked at him, her expression softening for the first time. And what does that make you, human? He thought for a moment. A builder, maybe even a believer. Days turned into weeks. The once dead world began to bloom again. Rivers of light spread through the cracks in the soil. Trees with crystalline leaves sprouted along the ridges, and airships from distant colonies began to appear in the skies. Elindra, once a ruin, became a symbol. A place where humans and aliens could coexist without fear. And in every mind that came to the planet, a faint voice whispered, calm, gentle, and filled with purpose. Welcome to the new dawn. One evening, as the twin suns set behind the Silver Mountains, Ethan stood on the rebuilt platform where it had all begun. Lyra, he whispered, if you can still hear me. Thank you. Her voice, like starlight on water, replied softly. You gave me a choice. That's all I ever wanted. Vexa joined him, her armor polished, her eyes reflecting the sun's. You know, you're still the craziest human I've ever met, he grinned. And you're still the toughest alien I've ever survived with, she smirked. Maybe that's why we work. Above them, the stars pulsed, brighter, alive. Connected. Lyra's final whisper rippled through the air. The galaxy is watching. Ethan, don't let it fall asleep again. He smiled, lifting his gaze to the heavens. We won't. And as light spread across Elindra's sky, blue, gold, and silver blending together, the first true dawn of a united future began.